Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. The show where, just like you, we can't get enough sports.
The 47-year wait is over! And the Nuggets win it! Wilson throwing it up for grabs, and it's caught for the touchdown! And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50. To the Avalanche are 2022 Stanley Cup champions! And a shot into the back of the net for Diego Rubio!
Now here's your hosts, Arthur Knight and Larry Perkins.
1-0 Rapids. They are champions.
Yo. Hello, fiends of sports. Welcome to the Sportz Phenz Show. I am Arthur Knight. I'd like to let you know that we are coming to you live from Sohai Cafe here in 4300 West Alameda in Denver, Colorado. Come on by, say what's up to Vinny, tell him the Sportz Phenz sent you, get you some barbecue, pre-order your barbecue for tomorrow night's finals game 5. Call up Vinny, see what he's got, see what he can get for you. Try to do it today. That way, he can make it, make it for you tomorrow or have it for you tomorrow. With that said, we are also being brought to you live by iEnvy. iEnvy has comprehensive eye exams. They have really nice glasses. I got these tasty spectacles from there not too long ago. Stop on by. Tell them the Sportz Phenz sent you. iEnvy, we see you. All right, so I got a lot to get to today. Man, there's a lot going on in sports right now, even though there's not much, in real, I'm not a big baseball fan. I like baseball, but I'm not a big baseball fan. So, big baseball fans, it's cool. It's, they're loving life right now because really their sport is the most dominant sport right now. Only because they have games like every other day and they play 1,000 games a year. But it's usually a very boring time in sports around this time, with the exception of the NBA Finals is going into Game 5. And it should be 3-1. I'm not even going to front. Everybody's going to call me a hater, and I don't care. In the last 2 minutes of Game 4, the game was taken away from the Indiana Pacers, and not by the will or sheer force of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was more or less just a lot of ticky-tack calls against the Pacers and nothing being called against OKC in the last 2 minutes. Now, I haven't read the 2-minute report yet. I haven't had a chance to see it. I'm not even sure that they released the 2-minute report during the playoffs. I haven't seen one since we started the playoffs, but hey, they might be out there. I'll actually put in the effort to check and search and let y'all know next week. But this should be 3-1. It is 2-2, so it is what it is. I still think Indiana's going to win this series, unless it gets taken from them. I don't know why Oklahoma City actually deserves to win. They actually did not deserve to win. It was very just weird how they won Game 4. Not that they weren't supposed to win. They are the best, we're the best team in the league all season. Don't get me wrong. Don't take it out of context. What I mean is in that game, they didn't deserve to win. They didn't. And ticky-tack things got them the W. You win, a W's a W, right? An L's an L, a W's a W. You gotta take that. But that doesn't mean that makes it right. It seemed weird that all of a sudden, the whole game Indiana had played tough and tight defense the entire time. OKC had no answers. And then all of a sudden, everything they've been doing through 3/4 of the game was a foul in the last 2 minutes. Like, what? How does that? You got to make that make sense to me, man. I don't know how that makes sense to anybody else. It completely doesn't make sense to me. You have to show me the video proof, because I've watched the game several times, and I'm just like, I'm watching the whole game, and then I get it down to the last 2 minutes, and then I watch that over and over and over and over again. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, in that 2 minute span, the whole game was flipped, and in that entire 2 minutes, Indiana had played the exact style. Now, granted, they had shots that weren't falling like they were in the beginning of the game. You got to make those shots, Indiana. You got to make those shots. Then you kind of take it out of the hands of the referees, right? If you make those shots and put them away, we're not even discussing the fact that it's 2-2 right now, right? But you got to make those shots. So that's the other side of the coin. I'll give you that. But it still was kind of weird that point shift happened so quickly. And I know. Basketball, that happens all the time. It's not like they were up by like 30 or 20 or something like that. But they did have a lead, and they did have what seemed to be control of the entire game. OKC had no answers for what they were doing. They seemed to be getting every single, and even at the end in the last 2 minutes, they were getting every shot that they wanted by, driving to the rim and kicking it out. And they just kept doing that in 2 and 3 different ways. They were still, spacing the floor and playing the exact same way. Their shots just didn't go down. And OKC was, managed to get, and I say OKC, but really it was just SGA, managed to get a couple of calls that were more than questionable. One, okay. Tell me if I'm wrong, okay? You can tell me in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on, follow me on YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Textbook of an offensive foul is if the offensive player takes up the space that's between himself or themselves and the defender and creates contact. And not only creates contact, but with the forearm creates contact and extends that contact. Almost knocks himself off balance, but gets a foul call. That should be, or no, actually, I don't even think there was a foul called on that, because I think he made that shot and they didn't even call a foul. I can't remember at this very moment now. Now I've got to go back and watch it again. But I'm pretty sure he got a foul on that shot. But even if he didn't, it should have been an offensive foul by textbook, right? Right? If the defender closes that space and creates contact, that's a defensive foul. It's a blocking foul or a moving violation, right? Right? Is it just me? Because I'm not even really trying to call him a foul merchant or anything like that. I'm just trying to understand how the textbook definition of an offensive foul is. There was clear space between the two players. He closed that space. He closed that space between them. And he closed that space between them and created contact between the two of them. He knocked down the other player on the push-off, hits the J. Actually, I do remember now. Now, nothing was called. Nothing was called. So he didn't get a foul. Damn, I'm passionate right now. I'm knocking my microphone and phone everywhere. He didn't get a foul, but he also didn't get charged a foul. And that should have been an offensive foul. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to see in the chat. I'd love to see in your comments. Like I said, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Sportz Phenz. Tell me I'm wrong. Prove to me I'm wrong. I would love, I've read the rule book and it's supposed to be whoever takes up that space. If there's space, like the defender had beat him to the spot, and he knew it. So the only way that he could create enough space for him to get a shot off was for him to push off. And he didn't necessarily lower his shoulder. He might not have even pushed very, very hard in order for him to knock the other player down. But the fact that he does it all the time, you know, I've never been an advocate of flopping, don't get me wrong, but I think that's why that player fell down, because he created the contact and he was trying to show the referee he created the contact, he's knocking me down, that's a charge or an offensive foul, right? To me, that was the beginning of the end of that game for the Indiana Pacers. At that very moment is when I realized that the Pacers weren't going to be able to win this game. They weren't even, I don't even think they were down. No. Excuse me. That was the shot. That was literally the shot, I think, that the Oklahoma City, that SGA took to take the lead. Now that I recall, they took the lead on that one shot by 1 point, and it was the first time that they had led the entire game. And it was a complete push-off. It was an offensive foul that was missed and should have been called. It should have been called. Why wasn't that called? It was basically hand-given. This game was given to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I give it to them. They took full advantage. And Indiana kind of, I think, fell apart because they knew it was BS as what was going on. They knew he had pushed off. He's been pushing off this entire time. He did it in the Nuggets series. He'd push off on CB. He'd push off on AG. And then they'd get called for the foul. Like, what's up with that? You got to be consistent. You got to be consistent, NBA, in order to have a consistent product. And that's inconsistent. Nobody's going to want to watch those type of finals. I continue to watch because I am just a lover of basketball. I love basketball. I've loved basketball and had a passion for basketball for many, 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 many years. And what I'm seeing right now is not necessarily basketball. Like, they need to clean up all of this traveling. I don't care what the new heads want to say or call me an old head. Like, man, that's what made the game hard. If you take away the basic rules of what basketball is and you start to change it with these, dribble steps, because it happens so fast the referee can't tell that the person's taking 3 steps, or if he dribbled and then took 2 steps while his foot was still on the ground when he dribbled, and et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is you're only allowed 2 steps, man. That's the thing. It's a travel if you take more than 2 steps. It's a carry if you leave the ground and come back down, unless you're doing a jump stop. But once you do that jump stop, you choose a pivot foot, and that's your pivot foot. You can't do a jump stop, choose your pivot foot, and then do a follow through. What the hell are we doing? That makes the game way easier. That makes the game way easier if you can travel, carry, and break all the damn rules. I mean, then anybody could play, in the NBA at that point. I mean, that's a stretch, I know. But come on, man. Like, seriously, though. Seriously. In all seriousness, all jokes aside, if you take away the basic rules of what basketball was founded on, it makes the game, it's not basketball anymore. It becomes something else. And I'm not trying to be an old head on this. I like some of the new stuff. I like the Euro step. I don't feel like that's a travel. As long as you're not dragging your foot, your back foot, you know what I'm saying? Because your foot has to be, it's 1 foot down at a time unless you're doing a jump stop, right? I like the Euro step. I like the Euro step. It creates offense. It creates good offense. That it also makes the defender, excuse me, it makes the defender have to study a lot, because if you have that in your bag, you know what I'm saying? If you can go around a tall defender and he's stationary and he's gotta, turn his entire body to the right or the left on your Euro step, that's either going to cause a foul or you're going to get an easy layup and they're not going to be in a position to block your shot, right? Because you can use the rim to help protect your shot. You can go up under them, and plus you're going around them. So typically you're going to get a foul as soon as they have to turn their body into you, right? Which goes back to my point of what's an offensive and defensive foul. As soon as you create the space as an offensive player and the defender turns to defend and bumps into you and takes all the space between you away, that becomes a defensive foul, right? Am I just crazy, people? Like, this is fundamental basketball. That's not even like something new. This isn't something new. And I get it. Back in the day, MJ used to do it all the time. I didn't like it then. I'm going to tell you right now, I have nothing but love for MJ, but I didn't like it then. I did not like the fact that he could push off on people and get away with it. Period. That's a fact. I couldn't stand it. It's against the rules, man. As soon as you create the contact, that's supposed to be an offensive foul. Period. Point. End of discussion. Shouldn't matter what the back of your jersey said or the name on the back of your jersey. Should not matter. Should not matter in any way, shape, or form. The name on the back of the jersey. All that should matter is it an offensive foul or a defensive foul on the contact? Or don't call nothing, but be consistent with not calling anything. If you're going to call it a defensive foul when SGA does it to defensive players, you got to do that for everybody. You can't do that just for SGA. And I know life isn't fair, but who wants to watch that? Who wants to watch that, man? I wasn't a big fan of it in the 90s either. And mainly because of the fact that the Denver Nuggets never had, just like up until now, never had a true all-star. I mean, Mutombo was an all-time great. He's a Hall of Famer, don't get me wrong. They won one series here as an 8 seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's all. They won, and then they got their butts kicked in the next round. So it's not like he took the Denver Nuggets to the mountaintop and won a championship or even got to the finals. Never got to the Western Conference Finals. The Nuggets have had a lot of good players. Some would consider great. I mean, back in the day, Alex English and all of that, we had great players. But I'm talking just like, let's say late 80s, early 90s, beyond. I mean, they had Carmelo Anthony, and he was an all-star, but he didn't get all-star treatment either. Carmelo Anthony didn't get all-star treatment until he left Denver. Why? You got me. But he didn't get that preferential treatment when he was in the Denver Nuggets uniform. I promise you. He did not spend his life at the line. He did not. He would get battered and beaten going to the hole every single time. Why do you think that man started shooting jump shots? He wasn't going to get the foul calls that he was supposed to be getting, right? So he started taking jump shots everywhere. I mean, he did get the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals, but, never actually to the mountaintop. And I'm not necessarily a Melo hater. I don't think his numbers should be hung in the rafters, but he did do a lot of good things for the Denver Nuggets. But he was an all-star and still didn't get that love. Still didn't get that whistle love. Like, Jokic to this day. Jokic is an MVP, a multiple-time MVP, and he still doesn't get that whistle. I remember it was either Game 6 or Game 7, and SGA had went down, and either CB or AG had their hand in the cookie jar, right? And SGA comes up with that swoop that's not supposed to be a foul anymore, or a shooting foul. It's supposed to be only a team foul and a side out, right? But SGA gets the shot. He gets the shot, right? He was going up into a natural motion, et cetera, et cetera. Very next play, Nikola Jokic does the same thing. Same thing. Like a mirror image, except for the two players swapped out. Nothing. I mean, he gets the foul, but it's side out. It's not a shooting foul. Why? Why? Multiple-time MVP, multiple-time All-Star, still doesn't get that whistle. So it's just like, if you're going to give that type of preferential treatment and that type of whistle, man, it's got to be fair and even, or just don't do it at all. Just don't do it at all. Actually, I would prefer you don't do it at all. I would prefer you just go by the damn rules. Just go by the rules of the game that we love, we know you love, and I'm speaking directly to the referees and the NBA. Like, this is getting ridiculous. It's like it's not necessarily becoming unwatchable yet, but it's damn close, man. It's starting to feel like a WWE style. Like, it was like Oklahoma City. You remember back in the day in WWE, when it was the WWF. But back in the day, old wrestlers, when the crowd would start, juicing them up, and they do this fist pump, right? And they're just like pumping up, Ultimate Warrior and whatnot. And that's what it felt like OKC did in Game 4. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like they were in a weak-ass armbar with their hand, twisted behind their back, and they're doing this, and the crowd is chanting, and all of a sudden he's free, and he's going, right? That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked like. Stop me when I'm wrong, man. That's what it looked like. It's starting to look a little too scripted. And I usually clown on the guys that say, "Oh, this is scripted, this is done." But man, man, like, come on. Like, what the hell happened? You need to do, the NBA, okay, another thing. You need NBA. This needs to be instituted. Like, it really does. The referees on the court should not be able to overturn or uphold their own calls. It should be sent to a third party, maybe even another ref that's not there, just to review the exact time and the exact play, and then they make the call. Whether the head ref or the referees like it or not, your call is overturned. I believe they do that in the NFL. Right? They send it to a central location. They do the review, even though they're reviewing it with the referee, right? Because the referee's watching the same footage that they're watching, right? But who makes the decision? Is it the referee? Or is it the team that is watching the film in a third-party location that has no ties to either team, et cetera, et cetera? Which is more true? Which is more accurate? I do not think that the referees in the NBA should be allowed to review their own call and then say a bad call is an okay call and not have any repercussions. None. What are we doing? I'm trying to understand. I really am. I'm not angry. I'm not disgruntled. I'm just trying to understand, people. I'm trying to understand how that can happen. I know in basketball it does happen where you could turn a game around even by 20 points in 2 minutes time. You really can. If you're a really good team, you can do that. It's extremely hard, and you have to have everything go your way. And I'm not doubting that. Everything did go their way, but including the whistle, which is that's not supposed to go either way. Right? The whistle is supposed to be fair and even. It doesn't matter who the better team is. It doesn't matter whose names are on the back of the jersey. It's supposed to be fair and even whistles. It's supposed to be fair and even. It's sport. You can't give another team a soft whistle, especially in that key moment, man. That's just, I'm starting to wonder, man, if my guy on Netflix, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, is the only referee that's betting on games. Prove me wrong, NBA. Prove me wrong that these refs aren't engaged in gambling. Prove me wrong. Now they won't prove me wrong. They'll probably try to sue me for defamation, but then that'll be fine because then you would have to actually disclose a whole bunch of stuff. You would have to give up video. You would have to give up, all kinds of documents because this is ridiculous. This is getting really, really, really. I mean, come on, man. Come on. I have eyes. I have a brain, and anybody with eyes and a brain could have seen. And I have no dog in the fight. I'm a Denver Nuggets fan. I have no dog in this fight. I mean, did I choose Indiana to win in 5? I did. Actually, I chose first to win in 7, and then they won game 1, and I was like, well, damn, they could probably win this in 5. And they could have. They could have. And should have. It's getting a bit too obvious that some players and some teams are getting, the soft whistle or are allowed to play a certain way, and other teams are not. Like, you should be able to, at bare minimum, be able to match that intensity of the other team and do the same things. Because if you're given, that gives an unfair advantage. Just like traveling and being able to jump with the ball, jump up and down and come down with the ball without it being knocked out of your hands by a defender is a carry. It just it changes the game. It changes the dynamics of the game, and it makes it too easy. The reason why those rules are in place, the basic rules of basketball are in place, is because that's what makes it hard, right? That's what makes you have to be skilled to work within the rules. I don't mind people that work within the rules, and I don't mean like and I love, rest in peace, Kobe. I don't mean like that. I don't mean like you or MJ, where you study the rule book and know where the refs are going to be and what the refs can and can't see at any particular time based upon the rule book, right? I don't mean that. I mean, if you actually practice your craft and you get really good at it, and you don't have to carry the ball, you don't have to, take too many steps, you don't have to shove defenders out of the way in order to score or in order to play defense, then I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Competitive edge is competitive edge when it comes to that. And I know in professional sports and most sports, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I get it. I get it. You're trying to do little nuanced things that are just, not necessarily against the rules, but frowned upon, or not necessarily like, they're just unspoken rules or whatever, or they're bending the rules. Let's put it that way. That's bending the rules, like this whole dribble step. Like, what the hell is a dribble step? Like, I don't understand that. Like, if you step when you dribble and you pick up your dribble, you still only have two steps. So what's a dribble step? If you dribble and your foot's on the ground, I mean, I don't understand what the disconnect is here. Like, that's still a step, and then you have 2 steps after that, right? It's not you dribble step and then you have 1, 2, 3 steps after that. That is not the way that works. It is not dribble, step. That dribble has to be, right on time with the step, like period, point, end of discussion. But a lot of players have been getting away with, traveling, just like 2 24-minute periods. Nah, I don't know. That's college style, or that's pretty close to college style. I don't know, Vinny. That's I kind of like the quarters. I still like the quarters. I actually think college should go to quarters, but I understand why they don't. But to back to my point, like it's getting a little too obvious that the refs help certain teams. I mean, it's always been that way. It always has been that way. And part of it is part of it might be because there's only 3 refs, but that's a part of that's a part of the game too. But that and in most games that are below the college level, it's only 2 refs. It's rarely ever 3 referees. So, of course you got the moms and the dads in the stands like, all the time at those refs, because they miss a lot. And I ain't mad at them. It's kind of hard to see everything. I don't know, but you got to do better. You've got to call these calls fair and consistent, period, point, end of discussion. We cannot have a game decided on a push-off that wasn't called. That should have been an offensive foul, and they should have went down, and had to play defense down by down by 1. There was still enough time for OKC to win, but they shouldn't have won that way, because once they got that play, it was over. It was over. They took the lead, and then it was free throws from then on. They were just getting free throws. That's it. And OKC wasn't even trying to actually score. They were trying to get free throws. They were only trying to score if they could, but they were trying to get fouled so that they can get to the foul line and separate themselves from that 1-point lead spread to, what did it end with? I can't even remember. Hold on. I just know they put some space between. Yeah, so so an 8-point, it looks like. Yeah, 7 points, excuse me. 7 points. So a 1-point lead after a offensive foul that wasn't called, and and then that made a 7. No, it made it an 8 or 9 point swing. Right? In 2 minutes. Like I said, I know that's possible. Because they obviously did it. But the way they did it was kind of just, it was faulty, man. I don't care what nobody says. That was shady. It was shady. You should not be able to win a game like that after being down the entire game from the free throw line, bro. That's just, and from fishing for fouls. Like, that's what they did. And it's not okay. It's not okay at all. It's really not. Because it's not appealing to watch. We thought, I guarantee you, America, I'm not the only one that was in that fourth quarter, in that last 2 minutes, expected Indiana to do the unthinkable and win that game and go up 3-1. against OKC, a 4th seed against a 1 seed, the 4th seed that nobody even thought, except for I, thought they would make it there, and a 1 seed that everybody expected to get there. The thing is that it's just not enjoyable to watch NBA. It's not. I want to see fair and consistency, even if it's against my team. If my team is the one that's fouling the whole time and that's all they're doing, call it on them every single time. But do it against the other team too, no matter whose names are on the back of the jersey. Please. That's all I'm asking as a basketball fan is, can we do that? Is that too much to ask, NBA? Just wondering if I'm asking for too much. I could be. As a fan, I could be asking for too much. Maybe I am. I don't think I'm asking for too much. I think that's just the borderline basic that you can do for your fan base that spends billions of dollars supporting your league, supporting the teams within your league, even the ones that are terrible. There are people that support these teams. And I know that for a fact because our team was terrible forever. And, we still have diehard Denver Nuggets fans from that era, like Mark and I. We have diehard fans from that era. Why? Because we love the game. We love our team, right? But we need to see more of just fair and even. That's all I'm asking for. If you're going to call it every time, call it every time. If you're not going to call it at all, don't call it at all. That's all I'm saying. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Hopefully they'll make some corrections going into next season, man. Speaking of teams that made corrections going into next season, how do y'all feel? Let me know in the comments. Let me know again on YouTube. Sportz Phenz. How do you feel, Denver Broncos land, about? How are you feeling about the Denver Broncos right now? Let me pose it that way. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling like meh? Are you in that wait and see? I'm gonna reserve the right to wait and see. Which fan are you right now, Denver? I'm cautiously optimistic. That's where I'm at. I'm kind of like that reserve. I reserve the right to wait and see. But I am optimistic. I am. I like the moves that the Paytons have made. Excuse me. I like the moves that they've made. I've liked the personnel that they're bringing in. From all reports that I've heard, they had a great mini camp. It looks like Bo Nix is out there crisp as a cucumber. And cool as a cucumber as well, just chilling, comfortable, confident, knows the offense, just trying to get familiar with his personnel. Denver Broncos also just added, what's that boy named? J.K. Dobbins to the mix in the running back room. I dig it. I really do. I like it. We'll see if he can stay healthy. But if he can stay healthy, man, he's a good-sized running back. He's a big boy. 5'10", 212. Like, he's a big boy. And from what I hear in reports, like, he has a really high football IQ. Especially he has a acute sense for third down plays, like how to get you first downs in third down and long, third down and anything. He seems to be like a third down specialist. So I think the Chargers only let him go because of the injury history. So, I mean, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to that, but we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see what he does, but I like it. I do like the additions of everybody they brought in on defense, and especially I really like the who am I trying to think of? What's his name? Tight end. Hold on. Evan Ingram. So I like that pickup. Like, they brought him in, very skilled. He's gonna help Bo Nix, across the middle of the field and force teams to actually have to guard the tight end as opposed to bracketing over his wide receivers and doubling both sides of the ball and not having, that's going to help the third option as well. Defenses are not going to be able to sell out on the wideouts. And then I love all of the defensive pickups. It's the draft. I love the direction the Denver Broncos are going in, man. They're trending up. And we're on a wait and see with the Denver Nuggets as well. Let's see what they have going for them. Their real off season doesn't start for a little while. At least until they go to draft, right? But the Broncos, man, have gone out and they have done everything they can do to make this team better and actually make it easier on Bo Nix going into his sophomore year, because I believe that, any other team worth their weight in salt, they already know. The tape's out now, right? Everybody knows what Bo Nix is capable of. The fact that he went into a playoff game, he didn't win it, but, he was missing some weapons, Everybody wants to give love to that kid over in Washington, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take anything away from him. But he does have a more complete team around him, and Washington's been, well, so have the Broncos. So really that's not an excuse. Never mind. I'm just going to take that right back into my head. But to go back to excuse me, I got a little scratchy throat. Excuse me. I want to go back to the additions to the defense that the Denver Broncos have made. I'm trying to think of the safety's name because I don't want to massacre his name. Where is he? Let's see here. What is his name, man? All right, give me 2 seconds here. Let me get to the depth chart here. I'm on the roster. Let me get to the depth chart. That should narrow it down just a wee bit, don't you think? Let's see. Oh, of course, they don't have him listed on there. Isn't that lovely? It's probably why I don't see him on the... No, because... Why is... What the French toast? All right, man. So, anyway. I do like the pickups. I really, really, really do. I like every single move that they've made within the parameters that they were able to do it in. Excuse me again. Yeah, they did what they could do with what they had, right? The Broncos didn't have a lot of wiggle room in what they were able to do, just like the Denver Nuggets don't have a lot of wiggle room in what they're able to do unless their new GM or, the Broncos seem to be maneuvering around their cap situation. And what I mean by their cap situation is the Russell Wilson situation. And after this year, that situation or that entanglement is done. So the Broncos will be actually looking quite nice. They've got their quarterback. All they need to do is find a pair of running backs that they can utilize for the next 5 or 6, 7 years, maybe even somewhere between 4 and 6. Let's just call it that because that's just being real. Maybe one more wide receiver, to replace Sutton when Sutton leaves, because he's sure to leave, and just a stout defense. That defense is still young, with the exception of Zach Allen. For the most part, that defense is really, really young. The only thing I'm worried about is the health and the age of the offensive line. That's all I'm worried about. Most of them are long in the tooth that are going to be our starters, but they played really well last year. Relatively injury-free last year. They were able to get, running backs that weren't worth their weight in salt. No disrespect, but they weren't worth it. A couple of them are still on this team, but they managed to allow them to get to 4, 5, and 6 yard averages, at least the ones that are left on the roster here. And I don't mean disrespect. I really don't. I love anybody who's in Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies. I love all of the players that wear those jerseys. So I mean that with the utmost disrespect. With the utmost respect. I guess that's a Freudian slip there, huh? I must be lying. But no, I really do. I mean it with the utmost respect. A lot of these players play really, really hard for the Broncos, Nuggets, Rockies, and Avalanche, and a lot of the times it does not work out. Talanoa Hufanga is who I was thinking of, the safety. 3-year contract. Guy is still pretty young. He's in his prime. I knew I was going to find it eventually. They re-signed Michael Burton, re-signed inside linebacker Justin Stranad, just on a 1-year, and then, like I already mentioned, Evan Ingram on a 2-year. Dre Greenlaw. That one I'm still like I said, I'm gonna reserve on him, because he still hasn't, he didn't go to mini camp, he didn't do any of that stuff. So we'll see on him. But Matt Pert, they just re-signed. Mitchell Fraboni, a couple of offensive linemen. DJ Jones, defensive lineman. I don't know why we re-signed Jared Stidham. Probably because that's who coach likes if anything happens, God forbid. Doesn't look like there's too many more notable, but doesn't look like there's too many notable signings after that. Except for J.K. Dobbins, right? That was a good pickup, but that's basically it, man. But I do like those pickups. Number one, what's the best thing that protects a quarterback besides the offensive line? Is a good defense, right? If a quarterback doesn't have to play from behind, if a quarterback can play from either even or ahead, a quarterback doesn't have anything to worry about, right? Absolutely nothing to worry about. It makes the game much easier and slows the game down. It also extends the game for the team that can shut down the other team. The AFC West, man, yeah, there's 4 good quarterbacks, one great, and 3 above average. I don't want to call them good. 3 above average quarterbacks within this division, right? Kansas City last year their defense did step up. I think Kansas City finally realized that, yeah, they're number one, their quarterback is aging, right? Number two, they had to start pulling away some of his weapons, starting with Tyreek Hill, right? That was the first domino to fall. They tried to do it the Patriot way, where you could just plug and play with, certain players, but that just doesn't seem to be working. They needed a defense to win last year, and even having a defense, they still weren't able to win. So, I told people years ago that they were going to have cap issues. Once they signed Mahomes to his big contract, when he got his bag, and yes, I think they've restructured it once or twice, but when he got his bag, that was the beginning of the end. They knew they had to get as many championships in this in this past 3 or 4 years, as many as they could, because once that window closes, right? So, that window is starting to close on the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Especially since they still have cap issues. They are going to have to figure out some things and move some people around, because without doing so, they're just going to have to release some guys. If they can't restructure some contracts, they're going to have to release some guys, and especially the guys that made their defense so great and stout last year, right? They had a really, really good defense. Not good enough. It was good enough to get them there, not good enough to win it all. And then you have the Chargers, who were, I believe, second in our division last year, right? They lost quite a bit of their, of course, just like with the Denver Broncos, when a new coach comes in, a new regime comes in, they revamp, retool, et cetera, et cetera. They tear down and they rebuild. And the Chargers are no different. They started, they got a new coach, they got a new GM, et cetera. So they, just like the Paytons want their guys, and more Sean Payton than the GM. Payton, can't think of his last name right now, but that's why I call them the Paytons. Just like they want, more Sean Payton, like I said, wanted his guys, and now he has his guys. It's the same thing in Los Angeles with the Chargers. They want their guys, and they're not going to stop until they get their guys. And they've gotten rid of some of the old regime's guys. They just did. They have changed out their entire wide receiver room, right? The only thing they haven't changed for the most part is their quarterback and offensive line. Every other position, and maybe even their linebackers, but every other position they've revamped, retooled, and removed any players that do not fit the mold of what they're trying to do. And they're going to have a fairly good defense, but they've lost a lot of players from their defense, a lot of players. So they're in a different rebuild. Yes, they already had their quarterback, but, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, man. That's all I'm going to say. And then the Raiders also have, a new coach, new regime, trying to figure it out. But they have a quarterback in Geno Smith that obviously showed in Seattle under 2 different coaches that he could, play the game, that he could play. He could be a starter in this league. He proved it twice under 2 different coaches, and he's now going back to 1, right? So with that said, I look forward to the NFL, man. It's so right around the corner. It feels like it's just days away. It's still weeks, but it's days away. Bless you, Vinny. But yeah, it's right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. And then before you know it, it'll be basketball season again and hockey season. And we'll be in full bliss of sports heaven because, as sports fiends, we need our year-round sports, right? That's what a fiend is. With that said, I will see y'all next week. Same time. Thank you for bearing with me last week. I got to mention my daughter singing at Coors Field was a sight to see.
There you go.
Also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Especially a special one to my guy Adrian Sides. Happy Father's Day in heaven, my dude. I'll see you when I get there. I will see y'all next week at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Don't forget to hit up Vinny, 4300 West Alameda, here in Denver, Colorado. Get you some, he's got some wings, he's got brisket, he's got everything going, mac and cheese, some baked beans. I'm going to go get my grease on right now, so I will see y'all next week. Peace.